Hello and welcome back to another character creation video. My name is Lumen and today we're having a look at Reign of Guilds. Reign of Guilds is a first-person, classic, buy-to-play, open-world action MMORPG. It's a game that prioritizes meaningful and in-depth player interaction with both PvE and PvP, guilds, politics, crafting, trade, castle sieges, and territorial and economic conflict. Apparently there's much more as well. That's just a small portion of what the game has on offer. Also, character creation and customization, which is why we are here. Now, if you'd like to do a deep dive to discover all there is to discover about Reign of Guilds, you can find some links below, and as always, there will be timestamps. We are going to be jumping into male customization first, and then we'll do some randomization after that, and then we'll do the same for female. Again, timestamps, they are down there. Use them to find what you're looking for and leave satisfied. So, jumping in, your first choice is obviously the gender. We're going to go with the male characters first. And then, funny enough, this is usually the option that people put last when they're making a character creation system, but voice is first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop talking for a moment and you can listen to the voices. You can see what they sound like. So there you go. It's not a huge selection, but I don't think that your character is the chatty type in this game, so it's probably more than enough. Then we have the skin choices. The skin tones are a little deceiving if you first look at this here. Actually, it seems like they don't go all that dark, but they do actually when you go down to the final one here. Yeah, it's alright. I usually prefer it when they add a cooler dark tone and then a sort of warmer dark tone like the one that they have here. It doesn't go all that dark in this game, but it is more than enough, I think. And yeah, it's alright. Then there are some pretty interesting options here for proportions, where you get to actually change your character's body proportions. And I say interesting, I actually mean kind of funny. It's just weird, okay? So you get to set the height of your character, and you get to set an option called the massiveness. I don't know if that's meant to be like tongue-in-cheek, like if it's meant to be silly or if it's actually like a serious thing. I don't know if that's the technical term that I would use for that, but the interesting part about this is actually that it affects more than just the visual appearance of your character. So as you can see over here, your hitbox size will change, your satiety depletion will change, your camera height and your attack range. Now as I slide this round, you will see. So basically, if you are smaller, you have a lower camera and you have less attack range, but your hitbox is smaller and you eat less. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. I've actually never seen this in a game, like this level of commitment to the character creation customization. It's like, it's bordering on just kind of weird, but I think it's actually probably going to be quite an immersive thing, where if you have a bigger character, they are a much bigger target, but they take more fuel, you know? You need to feed them more. It kind of makes sense. Now, it's not a huge change. I mean, minus 10% attack range is not massive, but the character can be pretty big when you move it all the way up. So, I'm thinking it's probably quite impactful. And yeah, your hitbox size, obviously bigger with that, and you'll eat a lot more. It's like a full head and a half, 2 heads bigger. Like, it's a difference. It's a difference. Then, the massiveness is just strange. Basically, it just stretches your character sideways. Look. This is a pretty lazy addition. I'm just gonna say that straight. I like the idea that it's sort of a silly extra that you can mess around with here, but like, it's literally just stretching the model. Like, that's what it's doing. Okay, let's not sugarcoat this here. It's just stretching the model or squeezing it up. Yeah, I mean, maybe there'll be a reason to use that, but I think it looks kind of weird. So they didn't actually put any interaction in here between the massiveness and then the character's actual model. You know, I always talk about things like Myth of Empires, where when you pull the character's weight slider up, you can see the weight being sort of, I don't know, let's just say, added to the different parts of the body. Not so much equally, but realistically. In this, you pull in the massiveness, nothing really changes with the statistics, but your character just gets like wider. They could have called it the wide slider. I don't know, man. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Then you get to change the muscularity. And don't get me wrong, man. Like, I like it when these games, they take these options, they just throw them in there, and they don't take all of it too seriously. They just sort of, you know, they give you options for the heck of it. That's cool, man. Like, that's cool. That's cool. It's a why not situation, I suppose. Muscularity. Doesn't change anything over here. You don't use more or less food. You don't, well, have any extra attack range or any other statistics. It's just basically how muscular your character is, and it's a reasonably decent muscularity slider. Like, it actually changes the muscles pretty decently. I would have liked if there was a little bit more to it, a little bit more fine-tuning for the character's customization on the body, but it's like, it's okay, and they actually give you a lot for the face, so that's kind of cool. Next up, we have clothes. These are just for previewing your character. There are a few different outfits here. You don't start with these. If you pick them, it says there in brackets only for preview. It's just a look at what could potentially be available later on. I kind of dig it. I like that they give you basically a little peek at what's available in the game, at the kind of stuff that you can get. Yeah, so you can see what your character would look like dressed up in any of those things. But with the main section done, we're going to move on to the head. There are quite a few sliders here. I dig it. They give you a lot of options, and they don't really hold back with how much actually changes. There's a fat slider for the face, which, in contrast to the body stuff, is incredibly well done. Like, this is really nice. Like, you can see that the cheeks get gaunt. It pulls up the fat, I suppose, on the neck a little bit there quite nicely. It's sort of a much more realistic approach to it than the massiveness slider, which, again, I just find kind of weird. So this is, like, really impressive stuff. I think that it is one of the most accurate representations of weight gain or weight loss that I've seen in recent times. It's really good. It's really good. Then you get to do the brows over here. And they actually give you a lot of fine-tuning options, which, yeah, I mean, I don't want to say surprising, but it's a welcome thing. Then you get the chin. You can sort of drag that in and out. Again, nice movement, nice range on everything. This is the this is the skinny slider. What this is it's actually the cheeks. I'm not sure, like, it's sort of like cheek and jaw together. They call this the jaw, right? But this one is actually also the jaw, along with the cheeks. It's really weird. Like, if you take them both, then you can sort of see what happens with them. The weird thing, however, is that the center for the weight is just a little further back than one would usually expect it to be. Usually it'll be over here, but for this, it's like, for this creation and customization, it's back there, so it ends up looking a little strange. Again, I don't know. And then you get a face slider. That's just face. Again, I don't know. It's the chin. It's the chin. But it's also like the mouth a little bit. So it's like, again, it's just really weird. Forehead, that one makes sense. You know, that's cool. And then jaw forward, which I think this is probably. And there's a lot of interesting options here, but this is probably the most interesting option I've seen, because this is something that, again, I've just not seen that much in games, where it's, funny enough, a very impactful option. Like, this guy looks basically nothing like that guy. Just by sliding that from one side to the other, they look nothing alike. It's a massive difference. Now, other games have this, but they don't usually have this weird combination. So what you see in here is, like, the chin, the jaw, the mouth, and even the, like, lower nose, or you could call it the upper lip, all moving in unison, and it's really strange. It's like a crazy option to have here, and it's all, like, thrown together, but it's big. Like, it actually changes the face quite a lot. So, like, this whole thing here sort of caught me off guard a little bit, man. There's, like, a lot of stuff here. For the hair, yeah, they went for, like, a realistic approach with with this. They start you with, like, a balding head of hair. Yeah, not a huge amount of options here. I've had a quick look at them, and yeah, like, if I'm going to be brutally honest, the hair just looks okay. Like, I feel the sliders and stuff, they are way more. I'm not going to say impactful, but, like, they are way more detailed, and they are way more well implemented, I suppose. But hair's a really difficult thing to do, because, like, for an indie dev to spend a bunch of time on something like hair, for them to try and make it look good and sort of feel good, it's a tough thing. It's a really tough thing, and it takes a lot out of the engine. It asks a lot of people's PCs to simulate all of that the whole time. It's a tough thing to do. So I completely understand when they don't do great hair textures and stuff like that. But what I really don't get is when they don't put a bunch of, like, at least a handful of styles in. Basically, if you're a male character, you've got a bald head, well, a bald-in head. Then you've got, like, the one long hairstyle, which is not all that long. And then you've got the shaved head. And it's like, that's it? It's a little disappointed. A little disappointed. Then you got hair colors. Let's have a look at it. We'll just put this hairstyle on. They don't go all the way to black, which is kind of strange. I don't really know. I'm assuming it's this. Let's have a look. If we maybe change this one down. No. Oh, yeah. Okay, I mean, that's like, it's again, not really, really black, but like it's a dark brown. So you basically get to combine the two hair colors, and then you get different effects based on that. And you can go pretty bright with it. Like, that's kind of insane. Like, oh my god. It's a realistic game, first person, sort of set in a alternate sort of medieval kind of world. I feel like if you take one of these, you're going to stand out like a goddamn sore thumb, which I suppose for players is sometimes a really cool thing. But yeah, you get to pick the two, and your additional hair color, it does sort of affect what you go in for here. So keep in mind, if you do jump in and you want to like customize the colors or the styles or whatever, there's a lot to work with here, and you can sort of mix and match to get whatever you're looking for. For the purposes of this video, we'll go with like a brownie sort of look here. It's fine for now. Or I mean, maybe I'll just put the bald one back on. Well, the bald-in one back on. Facial hair. Let's have a look what we got here. Now this, I'm going to say like straight up, I once again did have a quick peek, is better than the hair. For various reasons. And I don't know if there's stuff available in-game, but the texture work that they've done on the hair, the modeling and stuff that they've done on the hair that you put on the head, it's nowhere near as nice as this. This seems to fit better, so the style that they went with fits better on the facial hair, or they just have someone that is quite skilled at making facial hair versus someone who's not all that great at making regular hair. I don't know, you know. But like, this is a great selection, all things considered. I've seen like AAA games, massive games release with less facial hair than this. They've also done a really nice stubble, which you can see at the bottom here. Well, all over the face, really. A very nice stubble. It's a good look for the stubble, where they don't have those stupid little wormies on the face, where the hair's like, you know, it's sort of like what they've got on the head right now, actually. It's bad when they put that as stubble. So this is good. Beards are nice. Very, very nice. Facial hair colors are the same as the regular hair colors as we just looked at. But yeah, again, good facial hair. Very good. Then we have brows and eyelash colors over here. It's an option that you can change. Is it worth changing? No, just leave it on the darkest one. That's my take on it. And I want you guys all to just brace yourselves when I click on this next one. It's a bit of a shock. Yeah. This surprised me. This surprised me. Another thing to sort of be impressed by. I like being impressed by things. So the camera zooms in all the damn way. You get a super up close of the eyes, and lo and behold, the quality is actually phenomenal. The eyebrows also look really, really nice. And then the eye customization options are decent. So I'm going to just do this in a sort of back and forth kind of way, right? Basically, the idea is you get inner colors and outer colors, and if you throw them on, then you can see that they sort of gel to make, you know, different visual appearances. And there's a lot you can do with this. You can really like as an example, red and blue. It's quite an impactful choice. But the brightness that you have, there's a bunch of these sliders over here. The brightness and the limbus that they have here, if you pull them up to the top, then you get more out of the colors. So I'll show you what I mean. Basically, you get a brighter color, right? So if I show you those, you get like a, well, brighter, a more impactful color. If I show you those, you can see it's like really, really, really nice, super bright. Obviously not based in reality in any way, shape, or form, but if you match the colors over here, you get these nice colors that you can see from pretty far away. It's actually really nicely done, and you can go all the way to the darkest ones over here. I'm quite impressed by this, and then you can obviously customize them. So if you make it nice and big, you can see it nicely. And again, you've got basically the brightness on the iris, and you've got the brightness on the limbus, which is the outer part, and then you can sort of do what you want with it. And I mean, the eyes are just really, really, really nicely done. Really nicely done. Like the details in there, the colors, the way they pop, it's cool. I was impressed when it zoomed in here. I was expecting the worst, but no, this is pretty good. And kind of nice that you can see the other details on the face, like the nose hairs and stuff like that. It's really cool. Like these guys, I find it really strange the way that they've handled this, where with some parts they like really excel, and then with other parts it just seems a little lazy. It's weird, but I'm actually, again, thoroughly enjoying this. Nice combos you can pull off here. As you can see, like the color combinations that you can make. I really like the way the white interacts with like the reds and the blues and stuff like that. Very, very cool. I'll leave it to you guys to figure out some cool things to do here. You can make your eyes look like an eclipse, which is kind of cool. But yeah, then you have some eye options for basically the movement of the eyes. Very nice as well. Nice for setting the mood of your character. This is something that I think a lot of games do relatively poorly, and funny enough, this one is doing reasonably nicely. There's some clipping that you will notice if you pull them all to like one side or all to the other side, but that's sort of, it's expected when they give you options that that sort of push the boundaries a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. I like it. It's just really well done. The advanced options here, where it's look up and look down and eyeball size, don't seem to work. I'm not sure if I missed something along the way that allows this to activate, but I didn't seem to get that working. And then our final options are the face options, and these are also pretty big. First up, you have the nose, and I say big because you can actually affect the way your character looks quite drastically with this. And you'll notice that they didn't even bother naming these. It's just like nose 1, nose 2, nose 3. And if I show you what it looks like if you pull all of these to the max, it's pretty impressive how much there is. This is like we are Edward Cullen from Twilight. I'm sorry. And then we can go all the other way, and you can be if you pull the nose all the way in. Can you do that? Let's have a look. There you go. We can be a ghoul from Fallout 4. Yeah, there you go. Well, Fallout, the series, maybe. I say Fallout 4, but yeah, the series actually has the ghoul in it, and it actually looks relatively similar to that. Then you have the mouth options, lips. I actually really enjoyed these mouth options. So you get to change the size of the mouth over here, the size of the lips, and then a bit of the shape as well, along with how wide the mouth is. But the fun part is the expression down here. You get some pretty decent control over it. So you can smile or not. Then you can smirk, which is just on the one side or on the other side. So basically the smirk 1, 2, and 3. It's like on the one side over there, on the other side over there, and like this is kind of strange, okay? Because you will see that they have this. It's like they got one slider for the one side, then another slider for that side, then they only have one on the other side. So they only want you to smirk the one way and only a little bit the other way. Then you have an anger slider, which is actually your eyebrows moving around. And then you have a mouth slider, which again just sort of moves it around a little bit from a half smile into like a half frown. And then you can combine them all in different ways to do some pretty radical stuff with your character's face. Yeah, it's it's pretty great. Like I like it, and you can make the width higher, the lips bigger. Good stuff. Like, seriously, good stuff. Just let people have fun. That's what I'm saying, right? And that actually brings us to the end. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go. Let's put them down quickly first and see. We're gonna go back and oof. That's cursed mouth hole. Okay, we're gonna go back and we're gonna randomize, right? I mean, I think it's probably better to randomize with this view, but let's random and let's see what's available on mail. Some of the different options. So remember the skin tone, the body size, the mouth and the face options, the eyes, all that stuff comes together quite nicely. I don't feel like there's a massive amount of variety. You are sort of playing this guy, and all these guys tend to look relatively similar. I do believe they could benefit from a little more in terms of customization options. Absolutely. But yeah, it's okay. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. I'm thoroughly impressed by some of the minor options that they have here and how cool it is. It's really back and forth like that. Now, with that done, we're going to move on to female. I'm going to default female quickly because that's not the default. Here we go. there we are. Female customization. Our first selection is actually the voice, so I'm going to stop talking and let you listen to the voices for a moment. Alright, there we go. Decent voices. Again, I don't think your character is much of a chatterbox, like you just changing the way it attacks, and it's like your grunts and groans. The standard fare MMO stuff. It's cool that you get an option. Skin. The skin tones, their default is the lightest one, pale. You can get some decently tanned skins here, and you can go pretty dark. It looks alright. I mean, I like the skin tones. I do just feel like they could have gone a bit darker and they could have had a cooler tone with it, but overall it's okay. Skin tones are fine. Proportions, these are interesting. I covered this pretty thoroughly on the male side, but let's do it here too. Basically, you have height and massiveness, which is just, again, like, I laugh at it every time I see it. This actually affects your character. So basically, when you change your height, you can see that your camera height changes and your attack range changes. When you are the shortest, then you have less attack range and lower camera height. And when you are the tallest, you have more attack range and more camera height. Then your hitbox size also changes, smaller versus normal versus bigger. And your satiety depletion, your hunger levels basically are lower versus higher. Cool. Yeah, cool. Like, I'm actually a fan of tying character proportions and sizes and basically customization and stuff, even the cosmetic stuff. I'm a fan of tying that to in-game consequences. Things like carry weight and stuff like that is something you see pretty often in games. That would work quite well here as well. I like it. I like the idea of this. So, you know, you can make yourself an Amazonian princess here with like a massive character, extra attack range, bigger hitbox, lots more food. But, you know, you can be a force to be reckoned with like that. Or you can be small and sneaky. You know, it's sort of... It works both ways. The massiveness slider... man, I don't even know where to begin with this. It's like free transforming the character and just making it wider. It's the wide slide. You know, that's what it is. That's what it is. You can be like all the way to the smallest here, which funny enough on the female characters looks natural, whereas this does not look so natural. I don't know, it's kind of strange. On the males, you want it exactly on 1 and it looks right there. But this looks kind of fine on females. It's fine. Although... that, on both of them, just looks really, really weird. I don't like this slider, but I like the slider. It's... yeah, it's just strange. Then you can do the muscularity. The muscularity over here is much less impactful on the female characters, but it's nice to have the option regardless. I would have liked some like regular muscle sliders to make the muscles themselves bigger, but overall they are pretty stacked, so it's kind of cool. And then you get to change your clothes. This is just a preview. You can sort of see what your character could be using when you play the game. That is nice, although I see all of these basically cover your entire character from tippy top to the toes. You're like entirely covered, so it's like the preview itself is relatively useless. But you can see what your character looks like through that little gap over there. Nice outfits though, the texture quality, the model work and stuff like that, they're nice. I think it's kind of impressive stuff, right? Then you keep going, and you have the head options, right? I'm gonna make the character a little taller so she doesn't stand so weirdly halfway. It doesn't really help, does it? We still only have like half the screen filled by the character's face, and for some reason she's just looking like down at her toes. I don't know what's going on there. Fat slider. It's a decent fat slider. Way, 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 way better than the massive slider. You know, the massiveness slider just, it seems like a bit of a joke to me. I don't know. But yeah, fat slider. It's pretty much doing what it says it does. It makes you fat or it makes you skinny. Then you have the brows over here. Nice for changing the expression. Brows 1 and 2. You can see it actually affects it quite heavily. And yeah, the amount of movement that you see on a lot of these sliders is pretty impressive. Then there's a chin slider. Then there's a skinny slider, which is your rear jaw. There's actually another jaw slider. So this is like your cheeks, your back cheeks and your lower jaw. It's kind of weird. And then you have the jaw slider over here, which on females, for some reason, is literally just half the jowls. It's strange. I don't quite understand the way they've done it, but yeah, they've done it like this. You can combine them to great effect by having them one way or the other. And yeah, I mean, they are there. Then you have the face slider, which is basically this chin. Then you have the forehead up here, which doesn't care where it is. It just, the hair doesn't even move, as you can see. And then you have the jaw forward, which on the males is completely different from on the females. On the males, it actually moves this entire section of the face forwards and backwards. On the females, actually the lower jaw, and that's it. Right? Also pretty impactful. Then moving on to the hair. The males only had 3 different choices here. They had the bald one, and they didn't even have any stubble on the head. They had the long... No, okay, so they didn't have... They had bald, short, which was a bald in style, and long. The females have basically a shaved head, short, and then a long one which goes down over their shoulders. And that's it. Not very impressed by that. Don't like the fact that they only have the 3 styles. Don't know if there's more in the game. Perhaps there's more in the game, but overall it's a little disappointing. I will say that. And then the hair color options here. You basically have a combo where there's a brightness slider, and this is your additional hair color. So if you just have the base color, you can change it over here, and it's sort of like, you know, it's just relatively impactful. Like, it changes it quite nicely, but then you can throw the highlights on there. Or the lowlights on there, and you can change the brightness on them. It's basically like the saturation. And then the second color, it gels with the first color to make it even more bright if you go through there. Then you can combine them. I don't want to say to great effect, but you can combine them. It mostly uses the additional hair color for whatever you go with. Like, if you go with that and then you go with a darker one and you pull the brightness up, you can see what happens. It's like, I don't know exactly how they decided to go for this, but like, it's strange. Right, so yeah, you have to fiddle with this and sort of figure it out. As an example, if I go for like this white one here, and then I choose the orangey one there, and you pull it up, then it actually makes the white brighter, not the orange. It's just the brightness overall, not the brightness just of this. So yeah, I don't know, it's strange, but you can come up with some decent colors regardless. It's kind of cool like that, right? And it feels to me also like the females have a better selection of colors, where you can actually, like, I would say, make cooler looking combinations. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Then you have the brow and eyelash colors here, which are the same as the other ones, but yeah, as far as I understand, they are again with the brightness. They tied in with the brightness. So yeah, just be careful what you do there. Then we have the eyes. And yeah, this is pretty intense. You zoom all the way in. The eye color and the eye quality and everything else is just great. Like, they've done a really, really good job with this. The amount of options you have available here. Basically, you choose the inner and the outer colors, right? And you can have them contrasting or matching. Okay? And then you can also change the brightness of said colors. So if we go as an example with these blues, then you can change the iris brightness here and the limbus brightness here. That's the inner and the outer ones. So you can have it really bright or really dark. That's the same for all the colors. So you can go like really bright with them. And then you can also change the iris size and the pupil size. It's cool. It's cool. And there are some really nice effects that you can pull off with this. As an example, on the male one, I did this, where you can go for like a eclipse with your eye. You can do some really cool like red and blue stuff if that's your jam. I think the other way around looks a bit better. Yeah, like that. And again, you can sort of change the brightness of them to match what you want from it. It's kind of cool. Yeah, it's kind of nice. There's a lot that you can do here, and I think if you fiddle around, you'll probably come up with something really good. And it's quite impactful because when you zoom out, you can sort of see it quite nicely. They're very clear all the way out. It's good. It's a good system. And the quality when you zoom in here is really nice as well, with the like eyebrows looking good and all the rest. Then we have actual eye customization options. These are relatively nice to help sort of mold the expression of your character. And when you get to the face options at the end, you have more options for the mouth and stuff like that for the expression. It's a little lazily implemented. You'll see even the eyelashes and stuff don't move when you move these around. And then there's an advanced section over here where you can't really do anything for some reason. I don't know how to unlock that. I haven't figured it out. I tried, but I haven't figured it out. Then our final options are the face options. Again, the lady for some reason is looking down the whole time, so it's kind of hard to look. But first up's the nose. You have her nose height over here. Then you have the bridge. Then you have the overall size and or protrusion. Then you have this option. What does this do? I'm struggling to see anything move in here. I do not know. These ones don't seem to do anything on the female character, and that's the length. Funny, because they worked on the male one. You can go pretty extreme with this. You can make some really interesting looking designs. But on the male, there is definitely more movement. In other words, on the male, you can actually do some like totally messed up stuff and like clip it through the face and whatever. Then you have the lips. You can make the size of the lips bigger. Overall, there's like 3 different size sliders here. And then there's one that pulls the width up all the way. And then finally, the expressions. And yeah, you can sort of see, you may have guessed already that these guys just don't care. They let you do whatever you want. Then you have the smirk sliders. There's 2 for the one side and 1 for the other side, which I found kind of weird. There's an anger slider, which works on the mouth a little bit, and the eyebrows. And finally, there's the mouth slider, which just makes you smile. And again, you can pull these all over to the one side, which kind of messes it up. And then you can pull them over to the other side, which also kind of messes it up. It's really weird. But I respect these guys for giving us all these wacky options. I really do. Now we can randomize. That's the end of the normal options. Let's randomize. Let's see what's available here for the female characters. You will notice, and this is something I said on the male side of things, the variety is a little lacking. A little bit. You're going to probably have to get your customization kicks from armor and clothing and stuff like that. You can make some nice looking characters here, absolutely, but the variety is a little lacking. And I mean, that's a little disappointing because, funny enough, like there's a lot of stuff that I actually kind of like here. And that said, we're going to move into the outro now. We are done. That's a good look at what's available in Reign of Guilds. I like a lot of what I've seen here, but I also don't like some of what I've seen here. Some of it is a little lazy. Some of it is a little... let's just say distorted, perhaps. It's a little strange, but I mean, it's got its charm, it's got its quirks that somehow work for it, you know? The overall fidelity and quality, it's okay. It's nothing like special to write home about, but there are some standout parts. Specifically the eyes, some of the movement on the face and the expressions and stuff like that really stand out. The detail when you get up close is kind of cool, but overall, I mean, there's just a lot that could be worked on here and improved here. So I'll definitely jump in again at a later point to see if they've improved things and made it better. But for now, it's okay. You know, there's a lot to work with here and there's a lot of fun stuff as well. And I think that's always nice. It's nice when they give you options that are cool to play around with and can give you control over your experience one way or the other. I like it. I like it. So these guys, they did a decent job. For the most part, it looks like a solid starting point. And if they just add more and work on it, yeah, hopefully it'll be cool. So, that's it. Let me know what you think about Reign of Guilds and its character creation system. If you've played the game, let me know what you think about that. You can, as always, find my links below, my Ko-fi page and my Twitch channel. And you can subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Yeah. Go for it. Go for it. I will see you guys again soon. Thank you for watching and all the rest. Happy that.